something shifted in me. I didn't have a word for it at first. I just knew what I felt. I knew I felt empty, exhausted, numb, not depressed, not broken, just hollow. It was a feeling I had never quite felt before, and I did not know what to do with it. If someone asked you right now, how are you doing? What would you say? You probably already know the answer that would come out of your mouth. I'm good. I'm hanging in there, busy but blessed. It's a lot, but I'm fine. And maybe you would say it with a smile. But here's the question I want you to sit with for a while, for even just a moment. Are you exhausted from your life, or are you exhausted from pretending your life isn't exhausting? Because there's a difference, and the difference is everything. Hi there. I'm Dr. Phyllis, your life landing coach, and this is episode 140 of the Below the Circle podcast. The podcast for high achieving women who are tired of circling on autopilot and ready to start landing in what matters the most. If you've been here before, welcome back. If it's your first time, take a breath. You're in the right place. Today's conversation is one that may stir something. Maybe it will validate something you've been feeling for a while, but haven't said out loud. Maybe it will give you permission to be honest with yourself in a way that you haven't allowed before. Either way, I'm glad you're here. The difference between tired and depleted. There's tired, and then there's the kind of tired that doesn't go away no matter how much sleep you get. And then there's tired from a long week. And then there's tired from carrying a life that no longer feels like your own. Most of us know the first kind very well. We can name it, we can recover from it. But the second kind, that kind we're not trained to name. That kind we keep pushing past. That's the kind we cover with caffeine, calendar blocks, prayer requests, and another deep breath before the next meeting, the next demand, the next person who needs something from you. And on the surface, we keep functioning, but underneath, we quietly are depleted. I want you to hear this, sis. Exhaustion is not weakness, it's a signal. Exhaustion is not weakness, it's a signal. The exhaustion that you carry is not because you're not spiritual enough, productive enough, organized enough, or disciplined enough. It's a signal. It's your body, your soul, and the Holy Spirit all whispering the same thing at the same time. Something needs to change. But because so many of us were taught to override that signal, to power through, to push past, to keep going for the sake of others, we've learned to ignore it. We treat exhaustion like it's a problem we just need to manage. But exhaustion is a problem trying to tell us the truth. And until we stop pretending, we can't even hear what it's saying. There's a cost to this. There's a cost of pretending that you're fine. Pretending you're fine costs you something. It costs you intimacy because the people closest to you only know the version of you that performs. It costs you discernment because you can't hear God clearly when you're too tired to be still. It costs you joy because you can't live with joy where pretending lives. It costs you joy because joy can't live where pretending lives. It costs you yourself because the longer you wear the mask, the harder it is and the harder it becomes to remember the woman beneath it. And it costs you time because every day you spend pretending your life isn't exhausting is a day you're flying over your actual life. I know how it is. It was 2019 for me. On the outside, my life looked like Miss Successful. I was a physician, a wife, a mother, a minister. I was holding everything together, as well as volunteering in the community. I was producing, performing, showing up. But somewhere in that season, something shifted in me. I didn't have a word for it at first. I just knew what I felt. I knew I felt empty, exhausted, numb, not depressed, not broken, just hollow. It was a feeling I had never quite felt before. And I did not know what to do with it. I was at a crossroads. I was a president of 3 boards, working full time. I can feel that May like it was yesterday, May of 2019. And there was something rumbling in my spirit, and I just didn't know what it was. And I just remember that I had organized several different events during that month. It just seemed like back to back to back. And one of them I tried to say no to, but I let my feeling of guilt in saying no override, and I took it on my shoulders myself. And there was a point at which, after organizing that event, after carrying these other events during the month, on that day, because as you know, when you're organizing these type of, any type of major event, it can be for family, it can be for work, it can be for an, a community group. And when you're leading it, there's always glitches. And especially if you're trying to carry it all on your own shoulders. I remember I got to the venue, nothing was set up as agreed, which we had a very tight window to be able to get everything put down. And because the room wasn't set up, the caterer couldn't do what she needed to do to have everything pulled together. And there were stains on the carpet from the event the night before. So of course, you know, we go into adrenaline mode, and it often the case, right? My family that was there, they pitched in to help do what we can do, and we had to help the caterer to be able to set up the tables and everything, and we got through it. But it was wild because I had stayed up after working a full day, stayed up to organize silent auction baskets, all this kind of stuff, right? Last minute RSVPs. It was crazy. But when the day was over, I just had this feeling of numbness. It was a feeling I hadn't felt before, just numbness. I just felt empty. I just felt hollow. As I said before, I just felt hollow, like there was nothing there. Wow. I just didn't know. But in retrospect, I realized I was exhausted. I was depleted. What I was feeling was the tank was empty. The fumes had fumes in the gas tank because I was empty. I had been giving out at work. I had been giving out to my family. I had been giving out to these organizations, and there was nothing left in the tank. And what I realized when I really looked at that situation is that it was a message. God wasn't punishing me, He was inviting me. He was beginning to whisper what He would later make even louder. Something needs to change. And the first thing that needed to change wasn't my schedule, it was my honesty. It was my honesty. Sis, honesty is the first true act of landing. If you're circling like I was, if you're flying on autopilot, you cannot land until you tell yourself the truth. And the reality is, you don't have to fix anything today. You don't have to overhaul your life. You don't have to make a 5-step plan. You just have to be honest about one thing and ask yourself this question: are you exhausted from your life or from pretending your life isn't exhausting? Because once you can answer that honestly, the next right step becomes clearer. Honesty is truly the first act of landing. Honesty is the runway, and without it, you keep circling forever. With it, you finally have a place to come down. Honesty is the first act of landing. So, this is what I want to leave with you today. You don't have to keep pretending, not with God, not with the people who love you, and especially not with yourself. You are not weak for being tired. You're not failing for needing rest. You're not less because you're honest about how you actually feel. You are a woman who has been holding too much for too long, and it's not too late to land. And remember, as I always say, sis, full plate, empty soul. It's not too late to land. Next week, I want to take you somewhere a little deeper. We're going to be talking even more about the cost of circling, the cost of pretending, the cost of being tired and calling it strength. Whew, that's what we've been talking about. But we're going to go even deeper next week. I'm going to ask you something a little bit quieter and maybe even more personal. When was the last time you were fully in a moment? So this week we talked about the cost of circling, the cost of pretending, the cost of being tired and calling it strength. And next week, we're going to be asking the question, when was the last time you were fully in a moment? Not multitasking, not preparing for the next thing, not replaying the next thing, just present, just here. And we're going to talk about why presence has become so hard for high achieving women and what it actually takes to come back to it. I hope you'll join me next week. Again, I appreciate you for being here. Thank you for trusting me with your time and your honesty. And if today's conversation stirred something in you, please share it with one woman who needs to hear it. Bring her over into our Below the Circle community here in the podcast. And until next time, stop circling, start landing. I'm Dr. Phyllis, and this is the Below the Circle.